Life moves fast. Business moves faster. Made up imaginary businesses, like delivering important supplies to Antifa headquarters from the underground bunkers of George Soros and Barack Obama, moves at the speed of a rocket ship around the sun. Don't you want your rocket ship fueled with unicorn jizz? Of course you do. That's why you hired us, the Unicorn Express, to deliver the crates of guns being kept in the FEMA camps where everyone will be forced to get gay married before performing abortions on Christians.
The Unicorn Express. When your made-up bullshit absolutely has to get there yesterday.
Live from somewhere you're not, it's KPBC News. With your lead anchor, Anchor Cat.
Greetings, I'm Anchor Cat, and these are the stories the social media algorithm are letting you see. In our first story, we're going to check in with reporter Darren Barron in Port Harbor Bay, Idaho. There, Darren says he's just spoken to a man who was fired from his job and is filing a grievance with his union. Darren.
Hi, Anchor Cat. Here in Port Harbor Bay, the world's largest dildo factory was built in 1989. Calvin Frump has been working at the Shove and Thrust factory for 10 years. But he just told me that last week he was fired after a disagreement with the CEO of the company.
You know, to be honest, ever since we got bought out by this giant plastics conglomerate, all the charm and fun of working at an independent dildo factory has kind of dried up. And when it comes to dildos, when things dry up, that's when you start having problems. So, after the last company picnic, they come to us and they say, so we're going to start cutting your PTO and you need to start coming back into the office 4 days a week. And, that's crap. So I walked right into Billy's office. He's the CEO. And I said, hey, Billy, you could take this job and shove it. Take this dildo job, Billy, and shove it. Shove it right up there. In, out, in, out, in, out, in. Do that with this job, dude.
So you told your company's CEO he can take your job and the dildo factory and shove it?
That's right, Darren. I have dignity, and I won't work for a company that treats the people who make the dildos they profit off like the shit left on a handful of dildos after Rick Santorum takes them for a test drive.
Mr. Frump's union reps have assured him that their most recent collective bargaining agreement provides he'll be reinstated with back pay or be provided a generous severance package from the company that makes and sells severed packages from here in Port Harbor Bay, Idaho. This is Darren Barron, sending it back to you, Anchor Cat.
Thanks, Darren. Let's head out to Hollywood, California, where executives at Nickelodeon have finally revealed what the secret ingredient in their trademark green slime is. Here's a brief clip from the press conference held today at Nickelodeon headquarters.
Cocaine. It was pure, uncut Colombian cocaine. How do you think we got those goddamn kids on You Can't Do That on television to work 20-hour days? It was like the 80s, for fuck's sake.
We'll bring full, in-depth team coverage of this explosive development in children's television programming to you in a later broadcast. A new study from the International Institute of Researching Stuff has just published a study that could change minds on the subject of legal cannabis. Here with the story is Hunter S. Tedman.
Just a few moments ago, Dr. Benson Hornadu, long a trusted voice on the subject of public health, told us that he and his team just concluded a study of data from last year that can show cannabis-related overdoses spiked by over 12 million% last year. You heard that right. Take the number of deaths from cannabis overdoses 2 years ago, multiply it by 12 million%, and that's how large an increase in the number of cannabis-related deaths we saw last year.
As I was telling my assistant Jim Bleeker last week, the math is quite conclusive. We celebrated another successful study with half an ounce of Skywalker OG and dabs.
Only time will tell if Hornady and his team have produced a study that changes lawmakers' minds on legalizing and decriminalizing weed, but I know one reporter who's really hoping Hornady and his team tackle overdoses from mushrooms next. From the International Institute of Researching Stuff, this is Hunter S. Tedman.
Thanks for that insightful report, Hunter. Let's take a break and come back with more news in just a few moments.
For 10 incredible seasons, you've watched him as he went through life as a middle-aged man still rocking a sweet mohawk. But all good things, even mohawks, must come to an end. On the series finale, middle-aged mohawk man will have to make a choice: shave the sweet hawk or give up his sweet new gig in accounting at a law firm that still has a corporate dress code expectations right out of 1989.
Have you ever lost a loved one and wondered to yourself, how come she died, but that piece of shit will outlive us all? And realize that it means there really is no God, and good, decent people die while horrific pieces of shit live on in perpetuity all the time? Of course you did. You're a sentient human being. But thanks to the fine people at Chemtech, now you can take Wipe It All Plus and forget about the nothingness of life's one singular existence for a couple minutes. Then it'll all come back to you in a horrific nanosecond that will feel like an eternity. But still, take our drug. Go on, take it. Wipe It All Plus. Seriously, take it. Welcome back. A class action lawsuit has been filed against Food Serve Corp. Incorporated, a company that owns fast food chains like the A-Hole and El Culero. The suit alleges that owners Ron and John Tom Jonovan stole $69 million in tips from employees across hundreds of restaurant locations. Ron Tom Jonovan has just posted a video to Bildo, a social media site just for billionaires, from his vacation home in Saskatchewan. We have some of that video for you now.
They said we stole how much?
69 million.
How many million?
69.
Sorry, one more time. How many million?
69.
Nice. And yeah, that sounds about right.
Barry M. Larker, attorney for Mr. Tom Jonovan, released a statement just moments ago, right after we aired that social media post from Mr. Tom Jonovan. Mr. Larker's statement reads as follows: I never get tired of fighting for my clients until they confess on social media. I quit. But if you're a billionaire titan of industry accused of abuse by your employees and you don't want to admit it, call me at 1-888-LARK-LAW and I'll defend your right to pilfer from your plebes like the job creator that you are. In our next story, aging Nepo conspiracy baby Robert F. Kennedy Jr. apparently thinks a life of ingesting steroids and spewing lies about vaccines from deep within an ivory tower constructed with a fortune amassed by an unscrupulous grandfather wasn't cool enough, and he wants to be president like his uncle was and daddy wanted to be, despite being approximately 0.23% as intelligent or charming as either of those two. Though, curiously, Ivanka Trump has already offered to be Bobby's Marilyn in an interview with Oligarchs Weekly. Ivanka cited having the exact same experience with the 45th presidential administration as a reason Mr. Kennedy should consider her offer. In related news, Kennedy's presidential campaign, which is seeking the 2024 Democratic nomination and has garnered support from hard right-wing conservatives like former comedian Rob Schneider, announced that it received its first mega donation. In a tweet, Kennedy boasted that smallpox had made the largest such contribution in the history of American politics, and he would be proud to partner with smallpox to make a comeback in the United States should he win in next fall's general election. Coincidentally, fall is what would very likely happen to the Republic should the super wealthy dynastic Cumstain win next year. We'll keep you posted all throughout the election season with our exclusive Vote Watch 2024 coverage beginning this fall. Next, attorneys for Donald Trump filed a motion in district court today demanding that all charges related to violations of the Espionage Act against the one-term, twice forever impeached President Trump be dropped at least until such time as a picture book dictionary can be supplied to him so that he can understand what espionage means. Trump's son Eric was apparently so distraught that he couldn't get his Palm Pilot, which is really just an old speak and spell from the 1980s, to give him the definition. Reportedly, Justice Clarence Thomas has offered to personally write the brief for Trump, but the ex-president isn't sure he can trust Thomas because he can't tell if he's, quote, one of the good ones like Ben Carson was, unquote. We'll check with Larry McTerry, our legal analyst, about this new gambit of Trump's legal team in our 10 o'clock broadcast. Next, we're headed to the dong-shaped state, where Governor Ron DeSantis has recently promised to end birthright citizenship should he win next year's general election. Reporter Bert Thompson has the story for us. Bert, can DeSantis really enforce this edict if he can't find enough phone books to stand on to take the oath of office if he wins?
That's a very good question, AC. From what I'm being told by the DeSantis Gestapo, excuse me campaign, is that the governor intends to do a small government takeover of all printing presses here in Florida. Then, he'll have each and every one start printing phone books by the score. Eventually, enough should be printed to where DeSantis could reach the levers of power, even in Washington, D.C., where things are built and designed for big boys. From here in Florida, I'm Bert Thompson. Back to you, Anchor Gat.
Keep us posted, Bert. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, Joe Christian Republican here, and I just wanted to give you all 3 reasons why Jesus wants me to control your uterus, even though I couldn't find your clit with both hands and a magnifying glass. Okay, here we go.
Are you a billionaire? Do you own a chain or multiple chains of fast food restaurants and are now being sued in a massive class action lawsuit for stealing tips, sexual harassment, and false imprisonment inside a walk-in refrigerator? Then call me at 1-888-LARK-LAW. I never get tired of... Wait a minute. Do you own a chain or multiple chains of fast food restaurants? Are you party to a lawsuit in which you are credibly accused of sexual harassment, stealing tips, and false imprisonment inside a walk-in refrigerator? Did you post a clip to social media basically confessing to every accusation against you and a handful of others that law enforcement didn't even know about? Then don't call me. And in fact, lose my number, Ron and John Tom Johnavon. But if you do own a chain or multiple chain of fast food restaurants and you are accused in a class action lawsuit of stealing tips, sexual harassment, and false imprisonment inside a walk-in refrigerator, call me at 1-888-LARK-LAW. I never get tired of fighting for you unless you confess to your crimes on social media. But otherwise, I will help you sue those plebes and own their paltry bank accounts so they know who their real master is. It's you. Thanks to me.
Welcome back. A man was arrested in Giblet Plains, Utah this week after authorities caught him in a Hardee's fast food restaurant after it had closed. Prosecutors want to charge him with criminal trespassing, lewd conduct, and unwanted sexual penetration of a guacamole bacon burger. Reporter Jay Gilroy is on the scene in Gilbert Plains and has the story for us. Jay?
Yes, that's right, Anchor Cat. 38-year-old Todd Tiddlywinks was arrested last night at his local Hardee's. When police arrived, responding to an alarm going off at the restaurant, they found Mr. Tiddlywinks balls deep in a guacamole bacon burger. I just spoke to Tiddlywinks as he came out of the courthouse, having just been arraigned.
My lawyers have advised me not to say anything publicly about the case, but I will say that for sure, at some point I found myself thinking, well, this isn't how I expected the night to go. And that point in time was pretty much as I was fucking that cheeseburger.
Mr. Tiddlywinks is set to be arraigned tomorrow at noon, and his attorney says he plans to plead insanity because nobody in their right minds would fuck a guacamole bacon burger. Not when there are fried zucchini you could bone instead. From here in Giblet Plains, I'm Jay Gilroy. Back to you, Anchor Cat.
According to reports, the House Freedom Caucus has booted one of its loudest and perhaps well-known members. According to published reports, the extremely conservative consortium of Republican congressional representatives heavily debated whether Congress pony Marjorie Taylor Greene should be removed from the caucus for siding more with alleged Speaker Kevin McCarthy than with the rest of the Freedom Caucus. We take you out now to the nation's capital where reporter Skip Tumalou has more details for us. Skip?
That's right, AC. Here on the Hill, rumors are that Marjorie Taylor Greene was asked to leave the Freedom Caucus. I spoke to Representative Tom Toppleson about it, and he told me why he and his fellow pro-fascist Republicans wanted Marjorie Taylor Greene gone.
Skip, it's real simple, okay? It's right there in our name. Freedom. Yeah, we're free, okay? Super free. It's the first word, and it means a lot. But in addition to that, we're dumb. Proudly dumb. And I gotta say, a lot of us here have noticed how lately Margot's holding up the free part, but not really the dumb part. And you have to do both to stay in this caucus, okay? Like, for example, just 2 days ago, I asked her if she'd be willing to sign on to my bill that would make it illegal to have an abortion before an ultrasound can be performed by Matt Gaetz using a secret space laser. And you know what she said? She said she'd have to think about it. I'm sorry, but my amendment is as free and dumb as they get, Skip. And if Marjorie Taylor Greene can't sign on to support that one, then maybe she doesn't belong in the Freedom Caucus to begin with.
As you can see, AC, tensions are flaring on the right, and it'll be interesting to see if this Republican Civil War turns as ugly as the time a piece of poop got into a fight with a fart. I'll keep an eye on that exact scenario and report back what we find. From here in DC, this is Skip Tobaloo, sending it back to you in the studio, Anchor Cat.
Thanks, Skip. This week, former Vice President Mike Pence was reportedly rushed to the hospital with an erection that had lasted longer than 4 hours. On the advice of boner pill ads that run all the time on Fox News, Pence apparently headed right to the doctor as the 4th hour ticked away on his watch. According to several sources we've spoken to, Pence was especially anxious about his trouser tent because it sprung up in a way he had not anticipated. Those we spoke to told us that over the past weekend, Mr. Pence attended a local Indiana straight pride parade. However, the former vice president was taken aback, shocked, and unsure what to do when, after having been at the parade since the very early hours of the morning, Pence looked down and noticed that he had sprung wood. A spokesperson for Pence addressed the situation this morning during a television interview.
The former vice president was simply a little surprised that he got a boner there, despite the lack of leather daddies, twinks, and bears like usually give him uncomfortable erections. He really thought skipping his annual research purposes only tour of the nation's regular LGBTQ pride parades would prevent this situation, getting aroused by men. But apparently, seeing all those young, strapping, rock-ribbed, and washboard-abbed young conservative males sparked something in his groin-tacular zone and gave him a boner even bigger than the ones he gets while studying regular pride parades. A day later, when his erection would not subside, the vice president checked himself into the local hospital for observation.
We'll be back after this word.
Welcome back to
Popping It Up. B is for bootstraps. Those are the magical things we give poor people to help them eat instead of food, and what we give homeless people instead of shelter. And just for good measure, that's also what we give people who are sick and need a doctor. The only people who don't ever need bootstraps are millionaires and business owners, because they have a God-given and constitutional right to make money. But the plebes only have a God-given and constitutional right to what, everybody? That's right, bootstraps!
Hi kids, it's me, your old pal Fred, and I just wanted to remind you that it's really funny when our little fascist friends in the red hats try to force us to pray to the American flag, when we all know deep down it's the Confederate flag they use when they wipe their baby batter off their cousin's sister's tummy. Okay, I gotta go donate to Planned Parenthood, friends. See you again next time. In our next story, restaurant chain Jumbo Shrimporium is now under federal criminal investigation after authorities were tipped off that the owners, Jared Jumbo Crevette and his wife Samantha, were using dead skunks from the skunk farm they own and selling them at Jumbo's locations under the false pretense of it being shrimp and not dead skunk meat. The FDA has apparently stepped in and ordered all Jumbo's locations closed until further notice pending a full investigation. We'll keep you posted as this story develops. Next, an ongoing feud between two fucking giant dorks that nobody would care about if they weren't billionaires progressed to a new stage recently when billionaire pretend inventor and not pretend hair plug recipient Elon Musk challenged fellow billionaire Mark Zuckerberg, founder of data mining and genocide profiteering social media site Facebook, to a cage match, and Zuckerberg seemingly implied on Instagram that he'd accept the challenge. Let's talk to Fred Fritz of the Sports Desk about what the odds makers are saying about this fight. Fred, celebrity boxing matches have happened before, but I can't seem to remember a cage fight between two rich and famous men before. Can you?
So to my knowledge, no, there's actually never been a cage match between two misanthropic, rich shithead dildo mouths like this before. However, I should say that my knowledge on this subject is a little limited because I frankly didn't really follow sports at all much until you guys all hired me to be your sports guy about a year ago, Anchor Cat.
Have you checked in with the Vegas sportsbooks to see who they're saying has the upper hand? Who's the underdog in this fight?
Yes, I've spoken to a handful of odds makers in Sin City, Anchor Cat, and despite the fact that most of them set their odds at roughly 50-50, I'm being told that a lot of the people laying bets are actually betting on hoping for a different outcome altogether.
Oh?
Yeah, I've been told by more than a couple of them that most of the people laying bets are betting on either a giant meteor hitting the arena or both men falling into a black hole, or even there are some that are betting on perhaps both of them tripping and falling on their way into the cage, and then maybe there's a fire like right on the ground, and maybe that fire is made out of cancer and it's surrounded by rush hour LA traffic.
But that's not a very likely outcome, is it, Fred? Seems like a lot of people are throwing their money away on those bets.
Yeah, very true, but from what my sources are telling me, a lot of times professional gamblers will put their money where their hearts are, not so much where they know logically things might end up. So in the end, it really is just a lot of wishful betting.
Well, keep us posted if any of that changes, Fred. Now it's time for the business report with Cal Baconburger. Cal, anything new going on Wall Street that we should know about?
Well, Anchor Cat, a lot of investors are abuzz right now because a certain giant mega corporation has announced that they're opening more than 100 new brick-and-mortar retail locations all throughout the Bible Belt, which could provide the poverty-stricken areas with much-needed jobs.
That's an incredible development, Cal. Who's opening the retail stores?
Antifa Incorporated.
Of course. Being a very real organization, it would make sense that they do that.
That's right, Anchor Cat. And CEO Robert Antifa told us that he's secured funding through George Soros to rush these Antifa superstores into construction, which he said is very exciting because it means they'll be able to put both gay wedding chapels and operating rooms where abortions and gender confirmation surgeries can take place in their stores, which Mr. Antifa said should make them quite popular.
Well, we'll send reporters out into the heartland once the stores are built, and we'll find out how the locals are feeling about the new Antifa marketplaces opening up in their towns. Daily Wire hosts Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro are said to be speaking to their respective attorneys about how to annul their marriages to each other. Reportedly, sources close to the situation have described an incident wherein both men wound up in a heated sexual tryst with one another and getting married. However, since both men have heterosexual women pretending to be in love with them already, Walsh and Shapiro do not want to run afoul of polygamy laws. We're being told that this all started at a recent barbecue held by the Daily Wire. Someone at the event spiked the bowl of Donald Trump's piss punch with Bud Light, turning dozens of conservative media figures instantly gay as fuck. We'll keep you posted on this story as it develops. Now it's time for our own Gourmand Gus to come on and give his thoughts on a new restaurant in town that he tried this week. Gus, where'd you go this time?
This place called Jumbo Shrimporium, Anchor Cat.
Oh, Gus, didn't you hear? Jumbo's has been shut down because it turns out they did actually use dead skunk meat instead of shrimp in all their dishes.
Yes, I caught that story earlier, Anchor Cat.
You seem a little miffed, Gus.
No, I'm fine, Anchor Cat.
Okay, Gus, it's just that you seem definitely not fine.
Why? Just because the station's management sent me to review a restaurant that they knew for sure was under investigation because it was selling people dead skunk meat? Why would I ever be miffed about that, Anchor Cat?
Well, what did you think of the food at Jumbo's at least, Gus?
Oh, the food was great, actually. Anchor Cat, the food was so good. I would have liked to have known that I was being fed dead skunk before I put the dead skunk in my mouth. But other than that, if the question is whether or not the dead skunk that I was fed, that I ate, was any good or not, I'm here to tell you that dead skunk was so good. I enjoyed eating that dead skunk so much that I would go back to a restaurant called Jumbo Skunkapalooza any day of the week and stuff my face full of dead skunk if given the chance.
Well, there you have it, folks. And that's going to wrap it up. For all of us here at KPBC News, I'm Anchor Cat, wishing you and yours a pleasant rest of your day or evening, depending on which time of the day you're streaming this independent sketch comedy show to your smart device. Goodbye, everyone.